Give it a second.
Yep, check out the title if you want to.
Give it a second. Got it. Oh, and I got the chat.
Whoa. Welcome in
That.
everybody to episode 49 of Pick Our Brains.
Ooh, I
We
love
are
that title.
your hosts. I am Kent, Animal F52 on Whatnot and eBay. And who are you, sir?
Common Ground Find / Paper Gold. They call me Max. Kent, did you get some new eyewear that we don't know about?
Yeah, well, you knew I got glasses.
I mean, yeah,
Not
but the last glasses you had looked like they were for Halloween.
well, they were for Halloween. So these are, yeah, actually I have eye strain. So I self-diagnosed myself with eye strain, and now I'm wearing these
You
glasses.
went to you went to the new med school, Google University.
Exactly, yes. And ChatGPT said I have eye strain. So give me 1 second. I need to adjust something on eBay or on YouTube quick. And yeah, so the topic of today, what's today's topic,
Art
Max?
Turner said, "Is this Kent or Clark Kent?"
Oh, yeah, I'm Clark. Actually, funny story. Uh my gym teacher in elementary school, I was a really fat kid, and my gym teacher used to call me Clark Kent. I think as a joke, since my name was Kent.
Uh-huh.
But I think it was kind of an inside joke since I wasn't fast like Superman. But I
Really?
don't
You weren't quick on your feet like that?
know. No. But as an adult, I started running half marathons, and now I'm in horrible shape again. So it's a cycle. Welcome in everybody. Today, first topic of the day, until we get a bunch of questions from you all, is what are mine and Max's top book picks? What are we actively looking to source right now? And for 2025.
And well, really 2026, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
2026. Yeah. So what do you have any suggestions for the people out there?
Well,
What are
I know
the
we, we
what
we've
are the
said
hot
that we've
markets?
said
What are the growing markets right
yeah,
now?
yeah, but we've said this before many, many times. We've said this that what we source nowadays is not what we were sourcing 2 years ago.
True.
That we feel the market has completely changed on us, and there's a whole litany of books to source that I definitely would not have sourced in days gone by.
Well,
And a lot of that has to deal with classic literature, just hardcovers of classic literature.
yeah.
Um, if they have fancy and older bindings, beautiful, always better. But I do think that there's a renaissance of literature going on. I don't know if Whatnot stumbled upon this and they got lucky, or if this is something underground, more anti-social media. People want to read books and read the classics, but the two worlds have met, and now I'm definitely sourcing more classic literature than I ever have before.
Yeah, 100%. People, like, whether it's Whatnot or eBay, they want books that they remember from high school and from their childhood, whether it's Alice in Wonderland or The
Yeah.
Count of Monte Cristo or Uncle Tom's Cabin, uh, or Pride and Prejudice. They want all of the books, honestly, that they've probably never read and probably will never read, but they want on their shelf. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I agree. Classic literature, and like I was just looking for some Alexander Dumas and The Count of Monte Cristo on eBay the other night, and any of his sets or partial sets are insanely expensive, and any of his Count of Monte Cristo and Three Musketeers, you cannot find a reasonably priced copy on eBay right now.
Is
Even
that
though
is
there's
that
even though there's
right?
lots of options.
But is that more of a product that several movies have been made from his novels besides the Count of Monte Cristo? I mean, several movies have been made recently about his works, and is there sort of an underground movement of that?
Yeah, that's probably part of it. Whenever there's a new movie, like you mentioned, there's a new Frankenstein movie, and like
Sure.
Frankenstein books and Dracula books, vintage copies have been like sky high for years. And actually, I was just looking at some Jane Austen to try to find some Jane Austen for my one of my upcoming Whatnot sales. And like those prices, even I've noticed in the last 5 years as someone who buys on eBay and sells on eBay, I'm pretty active sourcing. Um Like I will scroll through hundreds and hundreds of book listings on eBay and through the solds as well. And I've noticed that someone had some really pretty copies of Jane Austen. And normally for a nice pretty antique copy, you'd think $100 or $200. But someone had a bunch of copies listed up for auction with starting bids of like five, six, seven, $800. And some of them had $800 starting bids on them and actually had a bid on a book that 3 or 4 years ago would have been maybe $200. So
Yeah,
classic literature, I think, is sky high and will continue to grow. But
right.
it also makes it tough for people like us to source that stuff.
Right.
Um,
And this isn't a secret. I mean, you've talked about this extensively through the years. You do source from eBay quite often, but what you source on eBay now, you used to have a very specific type of binding. Didn't have to always be a fine binding, but just a gorgeous binding, maybe Victorian period. And now I have seen you broaden what you're looking for and what you're sourcing.
yeah, but that's like a whatnot conversation, is because now I'm selling books on whatnot that
Right.
normally wouldn't be my time. If I'm going to spend 5 or 10 minutes listing a book on eBay, it needs to be a $20 plus book,
Mhm.
hopefully.
Right.
Whereas some of these books, some different sets, if they have Alice in Wonderland, I want to buy it because everyone wants a copy of Alice in Wonderland. If even, you know what, if it's from the 1920s, great. That is probably eBayable. But if it's from the 1950s, 60s, it probably isn't eBayable at all. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, things have definitely changed. And actually, one of the categories me and you probably know pretty minimal about is the new first editions, new sprayed edge books. That is the hottest market right now on Whatnot, eBay, everywhere. The Fourth Wing is a great example. I know nothing about the book. It's some kind of weird dragon, sexual fantasy, romance, sci-fi kind of stuff. And that book went from being the first edition with the sprayed edges, like peaked out at like $50 or $75, and then it
Mhm.
went down. And then the second book came out, and the first one in the series skyrocketed to like $200 or $300. Now those short term, I think you can make a ton of money on, but long term, I don't think there's any chance of
Yeah.
those ever
Yeah.
maintaining
Short
value.
term, though, you have to be able to get your hands on them.
Yeah, yep, which is
You
tough.
know, right. And, it's not like they've trickled down to the used bookstores often enough right now. You can go to a used bookstore. You're not going to find a lot. You may find some of them, but you're not going to find a lot of them. But I think in the next couple years, you're going to be finding those in Gaylords at the Goodwill bins.
Yeah, for
Um,
nothing.
it's very fad like right now. But the beautiful thing about it is getting people to read, younger people to read, and younger people to read who open up with those types of books eventually do come to the classics, which lead us to what you and I like.
Yeah, yeah, classics and fine bindings. That's really what I'm focusing on right now. I used to focus more on like cookbooks and technical books and science books, and those still are great. But I think classic literature is
Mhm.
kind of I foresee, especially the good stuff, good antique copies of Alice in
Right.
Wonderland and Pride and Prejudice and Dracula and Frankenstein. Those are going to continue to go up, I think, forever. I don't think that market's ever going to go down.
And make sure everybody's aware the new Frankenstein movie will be coming out. So
Actually, I
those
think it did. I
oh
think it.
yeah,
Are you sure it didn't just come out?
those prices are going to skyrocket.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And actually, like we try to follow the trends. I think weren't you going on like Netflix or looking what was coming up in Netflix
No,
series
not
to try
not
to,
Netflix, not Netflix. I was using Google, and I would say what books are being made in the movies in 2026,
yeah,
not in the year we're in, so I could see what was in pre-production, or what rights of novels had just been sold. There's a trade magazine called Variety, and you can read Variety online, and you can sort of get an idea of what writers have sold the rights to their books. And of course, it's still a gamble. I mean, it doesn't mean it's going to be made into a movie or even a good movie or a popular movie, but you do get your hand on the pulse of what Hollywood is looking for.
yeah. Same with good with comic book movies like the Marvel and DC movies. If you know what's
Right.
coming out and buy it up, and then when it come buy up as many copies as you can,
Mm-hmm.
and then when the movie comes out and it
Right.
becomes popular. Everyone's looking for the books. Like right now, there's the Netflix series on Ed Gein. So those books on
Oh yeah.
eBay, there was one written by, I don't know if it was the judge, and it was written by a judge. And all of those, like it was a halfway rare book. Like even a year ago, there maybe would have only been a few copies on eBay, and now there's none. They all sold out. So copies went from $50 to 250, 300,
Mhm.
and that is still that movie that Netflix series is still very popular right now. So if you ever do come find copies on anything Ed Gein, now's the time to sell it.
Yeah, I remember the first time I really did well with that is there was a Netflix series. I sort of forget the whole title, but 13 Reasons Why.
Yeah,
And
book about suicide, right?
yeah, and I had several hardcover copies of that book before the Netflix copy came out. I just happened to
Yeah.
find them in a bookstore, and I remember hearing about that book was being made into a movie. So I, by happenstance, bought all the copies I could, and they flew when I put them on eBay, and they were gone. I mean, as soon as that thing hit it, they were gone.
Yeah. Historically, you love art books. You'll still source art
Oh
books.
yeah.
But will you continue to source genealogy and yearbooks, which
Oh
are
yeah.
highly,
Mhm.
well, they're tough to sell. They can take years to sell,
Mhm.
but they're great price
Yeah.
that you can sell them for 50 or 100 or
Yeah.
$200 for good genealogy.
Yeah, I don't mind. I will always buy genealogy books. I'll always hunt for genealogy books. Yearbooks, I'm starting to now cultivate it more into not anything from the 1970s, 80s, and 90s, 1960s, and pre. They sell, it's just harder to sell. The people who want those are moving on to the netherworld. And
Yeah.
and while they do sell, um, I think the 1970s, 80s, and 90s, that's really who's buying the yearbooks now. I mean, you can
Yeah.
go on eBay, type in the word yearbook, click on sold, and you get a really good grasp of what years, other than famous people in yearbooks, what years and decades are selling.
Yeah. I still like, I mean, obviously, if you can find like 1910s or earlier, uh, whether it's school or university yearbooks, I would still
Mhm.
mess with those. But like you said, most of the ones from the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, like, people are looking for the one that their dad or their grandma was in.
Sure.
And like now you're talking maybe your great grandma was in the
Mhm.
1920s or 30s, depending on your
Right.
age. So that's not quite as interesting.
And the one little headache about that we don't really talk about is, you can put 12, 14, 15 pictures of a yearbook on eBay, but someone is going to send you a message and say, is my sister Lucille Jennings in there? And that's not one of the pictures you took. So now you have to pull the book from the shelf. And if she's not there, how does that deal with your time?
Yeah, yeah, and sometimes even if they are there, they
Yeah.
maybe they just want you to send a picture.
Right. And I
Uh,
and I never send the picture. I only send the picture of the name to prove to them that they're there.
20 people watching right now. That's awesome. We're gonna get to the chats here in 1 second, but I have one more thing to say. Actually, interesting. A young lady, maybe in her 30s, stopped into the bookstore last week with a bag of books, and they were her dad's high school and college yearbooks. And she's like, yeah, I just want to find him and take a picture of his photo in the yearbook and whatever he was on the football team. So she took a picture of that one and then gave them to me because she didn't even want the physical copies. In 10 years, she might decide she wants them and then she'll have to go track down her dad's yearbooks. So that was kind of interesting. And then also she ended up with some that she didn't recognize who they were signed to. So
Mhm.
she's like, I don't know, is that like my aunt's or like my dad's friend or whatever? How did he end up with these? I don't care.
Mhm.
I just want them gone. I just want the digital copy of his yearbook photo, and that's good enough for most people now.
We
But
we
then
do
you
have
like,
some questions in the chat.
yeah. Do you want to read a bunch of them?
Yeah, I got the chat today.
Okay.
Art Turner says smaller books are becoming more popular instead of the huge volumes and lots. People are liking the lighter things. I
Yeah,
think
I
I'm not
agree.
sure if he's talking about Whatnot or eBay on that.
With shipping costs going up and people like living in smaller apartments and stuff, they don't have room for a huge heavy set of books. So
Right.
yeah, I think and me as a seller on Whatnot and eBay, I'm sourcing smaller books because I would rather charge someone $5 for shipping a small book versus a huge folio book might cost 8, 10, 12 bucks bucks to ship. So it does make a difference in my sourcing now. I'm not
Right.
looking for heavy books.
But on that note, you also do very well with miniature books.
Oh, people love miniature
Yeah.
books.
Now, I
Yep.
don't think that's what Art's talking about, but that should be noted. Ryan Buccaneer, who has a beautiful bookstore, new bookstore in Minnesota, says he has sold out of Frankenstein and sold quite a few of Alexander Dumas and Dickens in the shop. Yeah.
Yep.
So I
Yep.
and
Yeah.
I
People.
think that Ryan is going to find that more and more that those classic authors are just going to sell more and more frequently. And I think this is an outgrowth of the social media movement. Everyone's on social media, but there's a certain population that now wants to get their face out of the phone and put it into a book. I think
Yep.
that's
Yep.
what's happening.
Now, okay, here's a question for you, and then we'll get back to more of the questions in the chat. Do you think people actually enjoy reading Jane Austen and Shakespeare and Dickens and all that? Do you think they? I tried reading Pride and Prejudice, and
Yeah.
that was like 10 years ago. I didn't enjoy it, and I didn't finish it. I tried reading Dune, and I couldn't get into that.
Right.
Um, do people actually really enjoy all of these classic authors, or do they just think they appear
I
smarter?
never enjoy. Well, I can tell you this as a teacher.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
never enjoyed teaching Shakespeare.
okay,
Never enjoyed it. It was always a struggle. It was always pulling teeth. Maybe one out of 30 kids in each class would really latch onto it. The one story that people love, though, talking about classic Western canon literature, every everybody seemed to love the Epic of Gilgamesh. So
okay.
when you got into that, a little bit of a shorter story, not so difficult to comprehend and understand. Um, but Shakespeare was always a headache, and it's hard to read Shakespeare unless you have a mentor guiding you and you care about it as well.
Yeah. And it doesn't make it enjoyable if you're just trying to relax. You don't really want to think about what
No,
it might also
no,
interpret
no.
as. Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
want to think about the turn of the phrase from 16th century.
No, I'm gonna attempt to reread some of the Charles Dickens and like see if I can get through it and enjoy it.
All
Okay,
right,
keep
we
going with the
have a
questions.
comment from somebody new, so I want to make sure we do not ignore them.
Okay, yep.
Their name is Floppy Bopnop.
Okay.
Twice.
Welcome, Floppy.
Twice. I've been thinking about selling books online. It's inspiring to hear info from you guys about your journey selling books, trying to figure out what to do in life, and books sounds fulfilling.
Yeah, so what is your advice to someone that wants to start selling books? Because we have a lot of people that join Max's group, Paper Gold. Yep, yep.
I have
Paper
two
Gold is.
spots open. I have two spots
Oh,
open.
okay. Yep, you can reach out to Max. How are they going to? Okay, they can go to Patreon. Otherwise, you can reach out to him. He has Common Ground Finds on Instagram. That's probably the easiest way. Or is your phone number on there? Nope, I don't see your phone
No,
number.
no, they don't need that for that.
Okay, I know, but if they want to reach out to you to talk about Paper Gold,
I'll put in the chat.
yeah. Honestly, I would suggest the easiest way to get into if you want to start selling books is to do it as a side hustle. Work on it a couple hours here and a couple hours there, and work a little bit on weekends. Learn how to source and comp books, which is great for the Paper Gold group is a great community to help teach you all the basics. Probably start. What do you think? Start with eBay. And would you suggest someone gets into learning
I think
Amazon?
that eBay gives you the best practice of how to learn about books. Yes, I think if you go to Amazon right away and you're scanning barcodes, it's taken away from the learning curve of what eBay can do for you.
Yeah. And it's not fun. It's not funny selling a weird textbook about something you don't care about,
Right.
in my opinion.
And of course, you and I agree on this. Not everybody does, but non-barcode books are much more fun to sell than barcode books.
Yeah, I agree. And like most people get into selling books because they love books and they like collecting them and they like having them and stuff. And then they get too many and decide, hey, like maybe I should make some money doing this. Rare Books USA says, with information being easily manipulated today, old reference books for research is more valuable. Yeah, 100%. people are going back to, I want a physical copy of everything in case, like Huck Finn and Tom Sawyer, I think, have been edited to take out maybe some offensive stuff. And people want the original, and especially with reference
They
books and medical
definitely
books.
want the original.
Yep,
Yeah.
100%. Great advice. Ryan Buccaneer says, I already read that one. He said, Del Toro Frankenstein is in theaters now. It'll be on Netflix this week.
Mm,
So,
okay.
yep,
Wow.
if you have any copies of Frankenstein, get them online now. The content reposter says, I've been rooting for Shakespeare since I was a teenage boy, including when I listened to the 1970s disco version of Romeo and Juliet, and it's timeless. And yeah, that's another thing is like thinking about Stephen King, especially with, I don't know, he like an insane amount of his books have been turned into movies, and there's what, like
Mm,
4 or 5 editions of remakes of Pet Cemetery at this point.
yeah.
That it seems like a new Pet Cemetery movie comes out every 2 years now. So I think there's certain things. Me and Max were also talking about this, about some of the modern authors. I don't know who for modern authors will be classics like Harry Potter and Stephen King and Hemingway, and all of those guys. Like, who in the 2000s is going to be a classic author
I
like
think
that?
it's
It's
so
going to
hard.
survive.
It's so hard to deem that because of social media and the rapidity, how quickly things move nowadays.
Yeah,
Nothing takes hold anymore. Nothing takes hold. It's
no,
always the next news story. It's always what's trending.
yeah,
I don't even know if a book. I don't even know if a book can sustain any power beyond 2 3 months. Maybe
yeah,
it has two lives. Maybe it has a great life as a new book, then maybe as a movie a couple years from then. But I just think that the trending news stories of every day has changed the way we read, think, and learn.
yeah. True. Let's see. Lilac Seller Meg says, "Hey folks, watching from Spain. Holy buckets! I didn't know Meg was going to Spain.
When did May go to Spain? She
Uh,
book hunting. She's
yeah,
looking
and
for she's looking for Spanish cookbooks.
why didn't she invite us to go on this vacation? I want to go to Spain." Floppy Bopnop says, "Thanks for responding. On your earlier comment about, do people enjoy reading the classics? I personally do. When it comes to older books, the translation matters. My favorite classic is Don Quixote."
Mm. That's funny. I did that's funny because I sold two Cervantes books today. That's
Oh, did you?
interesting. Yeah,
Cool. Oh,
interesting.
wait,
Yeah.
oh, and J Fed said hi way earlier in the chat. Ryan said Frankenstein and Dracula are quite different than what was filmed,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
so that causes some interest, or biases some interest. Some folks will buy books that they've seen because that gives them an easy onboarding to the classics. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, 100%. Like, people actually, Max is trying to get me into reading some classics, and he suggested I start with Frankenstein and was explaining how it's a series of letters and blah 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 blah
And
blah.
epistolary.
Epistolary, there you go. And I haven't picked it up yet to read. I'm reading right now. I'm reading a book about a gentleman that worked at a bookstore in, I think, Hollywood, California in the 70s, and that's the kind of stuff I love reading about, like the book business and book dealers throughout history, and like all kinds of weird stuff that I can very much relate to.
Yeah. Do you remember the second book I advised you, I suggested you read?
Was it Johnny Got His Gun?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Oh,
Thank you.
wow.
Thank you.
Yep, I actually remembered
Are
that.
those behind you? Do you have any of those
Yeah,
copies?
they're right there. If you guys, I'm in a
That's
new
my
location.
favorite book. That's my number one favorite book.
Okay, okay. If you guys don't know, I am in my new Whatnot studio, which is my storage room. Fun fact: this room, it's about 15 by 20 feet wide, and this, about 6 months ago, was floor to ceiling with boxes of books. There was a little aisle through the middle, and now I have these fancy shelves, rows of shelves and shelves all the way around. And now this is where I sell books on Whatnot. Here, I'll turn it around quick. That's where I sell books on
Uh-oh,
Whatnot.
we have look at that. Look at that. We got it. We got the
Yeah, yeah.
secret sauce.
That's my filing cabinet with all my taxes for the last, how many years?
By the way, Ken, it should not go unnoticed. Lilac Meg in Spain. That might be our first person watching for or talking to us from Spain.
Probably, yeah, I think so. We've had Brazil, we've had
Switzerland. We've had Switzerland.
Switzerland. Yep, yep. We've had people from all over the world. We don't even know. Hey, if you are from another country, put that in the chat. We'd love to know where you're watching from. Oh, we got another. Oh, that's Gail Brown. I saw a quote this week. Don't don't judge a book by its movie. My favorite book is The Count of Monte Cristo. The movies are far different. Interesting. Yeah, yeah, that's very true. Deafening Sunrise. That sounds like a new name. What? I've never got into Austin. Wait, you never got into Austin as
Jane
the
Austen.
class. Yes, yes, yes. Jane Austen as the classics. No, I tried reading Pride and Prejudice, and that was many years ago, but I don't know if I would really enjoy it at this point either. So, yeah. Any other questions?
We have 17 people in the chat, I see. A
I
lot of
know.
new people.
Max, next week is episode 50.
Are we doing a giveaway like we talked about?
Or should we wait till episode 51?
Why? Why do we have 50 is a I mean what you don't want to work for it?
We can do that. We can do that.
So you
Episode
want to do
50.
what we did last time?
Yeah, we're both gonna pick a book, and
Mhm.
anyone that comments gets put in the spinny wheel drawing.
Yep. Okay,
Uh,
there it is.
yep, there you go. That
Okay,
simple.
so we'll have a giveaway next Monday, and
Yep,
Ken will pick a book, and I will pick a book. We'll select two winners. We'll select two winners. One will be your book, Ken. One will be my book,
yep.
and that way we spread it out a little bit. And you'll make
And
the
it'll be like
spinning
a fifty
wheel.
dollar value. It'll be like a $50
Yeah,
value.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And you'll make the
All you have
spinning
to do
wheel
is
like
come in chat. I think actually I still remember Karuna won my book last time, and Viverka won yours.
Reverka. Yeah, we don't see Reverka much anymore,
I
but
know. I
Reverka
don't think
won
she
mine.
hasn't been in the chat in months.
Yeah.
She disappeared.
So we will do our second giveaway next Monday.
Excellent. All right, we got one last chat, and then we'll wrap things up.
Mhm.
Meg says, my sister lives here, so I'm visiting her and the family this week. Long overdue. That's incredible. Yeah. My family always all lives nice and close, which is nice because then I get to see them very often, but then I don't get to travel to Spain to see
Right.
them. So kind of a double-edged sword. All right. Thank you all for a wonderful show. We appreciate you, and we will see you
Great
next
show.
Monday for our huge episode 50 giveaway show. Should be a lot of fun. 50. Thank you all. Peace.